Hello, you have reached the Denver FBI. If you have a crime tip or complaint to report, please press 1. For all other inquiries, please press 2. Your call is being transferred. Please wait on the line. You have reached the FBI's public access line. This call may be monitored or recorded for quality assurance, investigative, or other purposes. For English, press 1. Para español, oprima 2. Please choose from the following options. If you wish to report online crime, email hoax, or scams, press 1. If you wish to report suspicious activity that may be related to terrorism, press 2. If you wish to report a network intrusion matter or provide a tip on an FBI fugitive, press 3. If you wish to report public corruption, a civil rights violation, or white-collar crime, press 4. If you wish to report some other federal violation falling under the FBI's investigative jurisdiction, press 5.
Thank you very much for calling the FBI. May I have your name?
Sure. I had no idea this was a 24-hour hotline. My name is William Montgomery.
Okay, William. Can you spell your last name for me?
Sure. Montgomery.
Okay, and may I have a phone number for you?
Sure. I have two here. I have 970.
I just need a good contact number if we got disconnected so I can call you back.
Sure. 970-825-4421.
And is that a home, work, or a cell?
It's a cell phone.
Okay, and may I have a zip code where you live at?
Sure. 80521.
And what city and state's that?
Fort Collins, Colorado.
Okay, thank you. And what can I help you with?
Okay, so I don't even know where to start, so we'll just go over some really big basics to kind of get the context. This has to be said because of the nature and complexity of the issues here. So, in a nutshell, I have a brother named David Montgomery. The two of us are two brothers in a 5-sister family. There's 9 of us total. We grew up and were born in Fort Collins, Colorado. We have a Mormon family that we fell away from when we were young, still going through junior high, high school. And we basically got ostracized, and they didn't really believe us for our own beliefs, and ended up essentially performing a series of types of hate crimes against us. Harassment by my sisters. I had a kleptomania problem that my dad didn't address. He did prayer over modern medicine, and I essentially didn't get the medical help I needed, and I ended up committing kleptomania-related offenses right out of 18 and a half. I was already doing these types of things beforehand, so basically I wasn't supposed to be charged as an adult, but I ended up getting charged as an adult for some felonies of theft, and I've been trying to seek redress for that ever since. Basically, I coerced into pleading guilty to crimes I didn't even do. I never got to any sort of trial or anything like that. So I never got a chance to explain my awkward childhood and possibly child abuse with unresolved kleptomania. So it was a developmental disability that I had, that I got charged as if I was an adult, and I started my new life at 18 and a half with a really large restitution price tag of the money I didn't steal. So for the next 4 years after that was about 2004. For the next 4 years after that, I had just tried to get on my feet, trying to find good jobs and places, trying to pay off this restitution. Started really going downhill, and that's when I told my brother about it. He is my only true witness in this entire event. He knows more than anybody else I've been able to get to with regards to this original case. So whenever I told him about it, unfortunately, he went back to my parents asking for help, and they actually defamed him as well as me, claiming that I didn't have any real case or so forth, and they actually considered him to be bipolar. And so they didn't take anything that he had to say with a grain of salt. He had actually been going through some of his own legal problems at the time. He was assaulted at a job, falsely accused of rape, and had his car vandalized. And so when he's trying to tell my parents these things, he ends up getting defamed and as some sort of pawn of mine, that none of his problems are legitimate, that I have somehow converted him to the dark side and so forth. And so he never actually got any help for his problems. I never got any help for my problems. And so we kept bouncing back between not being able to go back home for our help for our legal problems, being pushed back out into the work environments. And so I'm trying to find good jobs, and I can't with my record. I'm trying to find good places, and I can't with my record. My brother is also getting hurt on the job now because he wasn't ready to go back out into the workforce because of his bipolar misdiagnosis side effects. And so he ends up getting hurt on the job anyways out there and tries to report that. And so that's workman's comp fraud. So just summing up so far, we have a child abuse that never got successfully taken care of, leading into a judicial misconduct of a wrongful conviction that led into a bipolar misdiagnosis that has now led into workman's comp fraud. And so my brother and I have been seeking help, just putting together the paperwork for this for a decade now, just juggling, jobs and basics. And we ended up staying in a house 2 years ago with 5 people. And we knew what we were doing. We were breaking the city's what you call 3 unrelated rule. And so you can't have more than 5 people to a house. It's usually student related. But we broke it because we knew our rights, and we didn't get detected for a year anyways. The only time we got detected was because my brother's unemployment ran out from his last employer. We ended up not being able to pay rent. That's where our own roommates, live-in landlords, attempted to physically remove all of our stuff from our house. We ended up calling the police, getting a eviction processed. They let us back in, but it was too late because they had already also contacted the city to try and resolve this via the 3 unrelated rule complaint. The city came in, actually took their side with them still living in the house, so that's kind of a conflict of interest there, and essentially only fined just my brother and I. So it takes more than 3 people to break the rule. They knew that. They fully admitted that they were breaking the rule, our landlords, and they didn't get fined because of us needing to leave. And so I'm almost to the big parts here. We essentially got fined $1,000 a day, my brother and I, for 26 days while we're waiting for our evictions to go through. We find out via the municipal court that it is a total of $141,000 that we were basically asked to pay. We basically put in a big fat motion to dismiss. First had it denied, eventually had it granted, but it took us all of our time from... rewinding here. When we left that residence of the 3 unrelated rule, our next residence, I got assaulted out of it by a drunk and disorderly roommate. And I had just lost my job through an illness of a hiatal hernia where my stomach went into my chest. This was due to the stress of that 3 unrelated rule fines that were happening. So I was seeking legal help during my lunch hours. I couldn't eat. I got really sick. And that in combination with the job, or with the getting assaulted out, my brother and I ended up homeless. And so we're putting together our paperwork homeless from the wrongful conviction to the bipolar misdiagnosis to the workman's comp fraud, now the 3 unrelated rule. And we're putting all this paperwork together on the streets, which we don't mind. It was actually a relief to finally lose my job in place. I've been trying to get caught up on this paperwork forever. However, as we were putting this paperwork together on the streets in our own hometown, Fort Collins, we couldn't get it put together fast enough for us to basically start getting tickets for sleeping. And so the hometown...
What is the FBI ban?
Yes, okay, so I'm almost there.
FBI.
Yeah, so I'm almost there. It really, really needs this kind of context. I'm about 2 or 1 minute away from it, getting to the point where you guys are necessary. So basically, while we were on the streets, we kept getting homeless sleeping and or panhandling tickets, none of which we find out are legitimate, meaning the officers didn't use maps or read statutes. And we've been collecting these cases now. We have almost 30, maybe even 40 of these trials. Almost every one of them are won, except for one or two where they lied and won. We only have a couple more trials coming up, but basically we have caught a human trafficking, homeless, poverty, hate crime ring with Fort Collins, Westminster, Northglenn, Broomfield, Federal Heights, and Denver. And we have 50 officers that we've won their cases for and or move-alongs. And we have identified all the same issues. It's a 42 USC. It's a no lawful justification, no probable cause. They basically picked us up illegally. The whole contention here is that we have been trying to report these crimes to people, asking for help from our family and anybody else online, basically trying to report that we've caught poverty hate crimes, a string of them. We have patterns of behavior, and it's all completely caught on tape, by the way. We're very, very, very good with getting our evidence. And so the problem here is that we're still on the bottom. No one is believing us. It's a poverty hate crime that we cannot get out of. And the kicker, the one that we're contacting you about today, is the final blow was where my brother and I were down in Denver a couple weeks ago. We were in Denver University, and we were stopped there coming out of a library after it closed, so it's open to the public. We know that. And these security guards stopped us, actually detained us with what they claimed was reasonable suspicion. It wasn't a citizen's arrest, so because we know how that works with private parties and shopkeepers and things like that. So they definitely knew they weren't citizens arresting us, and they were claiming that they had the lawful justification to detain us on private property with reasonable suspicion. Now, the only reason why we even got this far into this conversation was because we asked if he was a cop when we first encountered him, because we know that we don't actually have to stop for security guards short of a citizen's arrest. And so when we asked if he was a cop, he said yes. And we got all the way into the point of being eluded that it was reasonable suspicion that a cop has. And that's why we felt like we had to give up our names and so forth. And so only after the conversation ended, after we were cleared, no wrongdoing or anything. It was just it was like a Terry stop, basically. We called the police up immediately right there because we were trying to report to them the new false imprisonment charge. Because we know that private property security owners do not have the power to detain short of a citizen's arrest. Turns out the police department there, Denver Police Department, didn't take our call, didn't even get our conversation piece out. We were trying to get the right definitions of words so they could understand what was happening. They basically effectively said that whatever they did was completely legal. And now we have our name on their records. They've banned us, even though they cleared us. They banned us later for uncooperation, but it wasn't really uncooperation. We were just calling the police out. But essentially, they have our names now, and we were unlawfully seized. And this is supposedly a policy of Denver police to not patrol this area because it's theirs. And so there's no patrol contract with Denver police for this private area. These private people are acting as actual, they called themselves non-sworn police officers. And I can't get through to them that how incredibly illegal that is. And anytime I go up to the police side, I've been told that they've been doing that for years, so that's how it is. What are you talking about? And so forth and so on. And so I eventually talked to the district attorney, Denver district attorney. He told me, yeah, fat chance they would have been doing that for years. And that's what we're trying to say, is they have...
Hello, you have reached the Denver FBI. If you have a crime tip or complaint to report, please press 1. For all other inquiries, call is being transferred. Please wait on the line. You have reached the FBI's public access line. Call may be monitored or recorded for quality assurance, investigative, or other purposes. For English, press 1. Para español, oprima 2. Please choose from the following options. If you wish to report online crime, email hoax, or scams, press 1.
call the FBI. How can I help you?
Yes, I just got disconnected. I was trying to report public corruption. I was wondering if you guys could pick up my file and we could continue on.
Can I have your name?
Sure, William Montgomery.
And your phone number?
Sure, 970-825-4421.
Okay, I'll put you on hold for just a second, okay?
Sure, thank you.
Okay, sir, how can I help you?
Yes. So I was trying to report some crimes here. There's a lot of context, and so I started off on what I thought was the right foot. But we can go backwards, and I could just start with the greasiest wheel, or squeakiest wheel that needs the grease. So it's very, very, very easy to report it outright. I think I'll sum it up like this: my brother and I have found a secret hidden precinct. It's called Okay, let me start over. Denver University security guards think they have police-type powers. They have called themselves non-sworn officers, and they believe they have the power to detain people on their private property short of a citizen's arrest. And we have attempted to report this to Denver police, and they say that there's nothing wrong with that because they've been doing that for years. And so we know very well that places like King Soopers, they have security guards there. You can only detain with a citizen's arrest. You might have some shopkeeper's privilege for liability, but you still have to witness somebody actually commit a crime to seize them. And this is why we have police out there to do seizures short of an arrest, because they're doing investigations. But only police officers have what's called reasonable suspicion to detain people short of an arrest. And Denver University security guards think otherwise. And that is a capital offense if I've ever seen one before in my life. So I don't know how, when, where, and who, and what to report. We have the entire thing on audio tape, too. We're very good at this. My brother and I have 30 or more other 42 USC type unlawful seizure claims. So.
We'll document your information.
Yeah, so it's I think this is affecting all the way up to the police department.
Okay. We'll document your information. Have a good night.
Sure. Oh, come on.
If you have a crime tip or complaint to report,
Call is being transferred. Please wait on the line.
you have reached the FBI's public access line. This call may be monitored or recorded for quality assurance, investigative, or other purposes. For English, press 1. Please choose from the following options. If you wish to report online crime, email a hoax, or scams, press
FBI, how can I help you?
Yes. I think when I'm being put on hold, I might be accidentally getting disconnected. This is my third call back. I'm almost done trying to report crimes. If you guys want to get me back in touch with the people I was talking to, it'd be much appreciated.
Okay, and what's your name, sir?
William Montgomery.
Okay, and can I have your phone number?
Sure. 970-825-4421.
Okay, can you, I'm going to put you on hold for just a second, okay?
No worries.
Okay, sir?
Yeah, still here.
Oh, okay. You can report whatever you need to me. I can take your information.
Okay. Yes. I mean, there's a lot. There's like 40 crimes that my brother and I are in that we've caught. Mostly are one. Most of them are 42 USC type unlawful seizure claims. And so we'd like to talk about those later, but this is the biggest fish we've ever caught, ever. Oh my gosh. It's really easy. Denver University security guards that are non-sworn police officers actually think they have sworn-like type police powers, and it's to detain. They think that they have the power to detain for a investigation short of a citizen's arrest. Basically, in a nutshell, private property or private entities, people, citizens, anybody, king supers, security guards, only have the right to citizens arrest people, and that's why we have cops to go around and do that too, but with probable cause, in case they don't get a conviction. Citizens don't really have that luxury of probable cause, but nevertheless, citizens can go around and arrest people only if they've witnessed crimes committed. Nowhere in any book or anything, we've talked to lots of security guards, we've done tons of research over the years because of our other cases, but nowhere in history is it allowed for security guards to detain people for investigations. Like Walmart is a really basic example. If they don't if you don't stop when they ask you for your receipt, that's not enough to start holding you, to start asking you questions, for an investigation. They basically just have to see you shoplifting or not. And so the reason why this is such a big problem is because when we were stopped, we only stopped because we thought he was a cop, this security guard from Denver Police or Denver University. And that's what eluded us to thinking that we need to stop and have to give up our ID and so forth. Because we know we don't actually have to give up our IDs to security guards. We know that security guards don't have the power to detain us unless they want to go ahead and arrest us. So the whole point is when we called this in to Denver Police that DU security guards think they have the right to detain, Denver Police themselves told us that that was not an issue. They actually said that's part of their job. That's everything that is normal. And I got the right words down. They knew that I was detained. They knew it was for an investigation. They knew it wasn't for citizen's arrest. And the police just basically sided with them. And
Okay, this is not a federal matter. You need to listen to the police and do what they say.
Okay.
Thank you for calling.
Wait. I'm actually not done, ma'am. Oh my gosh! Wow! Nope. Not letting that happen.
Hello, you have reached the Denver FBI. If you have a crime, your call is being transferred. Please wait on the line. You have reached the FBI's public access line. This call may be monitored or recorded for quality assurance, investigative, or other purposes. For English, press 1. Please choose from the following options. FBI, how may I help you?
Yes, I believe I just got hung up on, and I feel like my story never even got across. These are very important matters, so I need to start off on the right foot with you guys.
Okay, can I start with your name? What is your name?
Sure, it's William Montgomery.
And your phone number?
970-825-4421.
Okay, what is it that you need to report to the FBI, Mr. Williams?
Okay, so there's a couple of different types of crimes that are going on. There's, on one hand, what I was trying to report initially, which is that security guards in Denver University think they have police powers. And Denver Police is backing them up on that. That's a very big issue. I'll deal with that on the side. I want to focus on the real issue, is what I think you guys need to have hearing. My brother and I have over 30 42 USC type claims. We have caught homeless, human trafficking, and poverty hate crimes on a actual statistically provable level. We have recorded every single incident. We have hundreds of hours of audio. We keep getting stopped by officers who don't read maps, don't read statutes, and then give us the finger because they think we're poor. And we end up going to court, and we end up giving them all the information that they should have had in the first place, that we're innocent. We give them maps, we read the statutes, and we're always innocent. And so we are experiencing a legitimate homeless human trafficking ring, because this started in Fort Collins with all of our sleeping tickets up there, and it ended down in Denver, and now we have dozens more tickets, which we've all won, from Westminster, North Glen, Federal Heights, Arvada, so forth. So these tickets aren't going to keep, they're going to keep happening because we can't get our complaint out. But there's other places, or let me put it this way. The places in which we got these tickets aren't even within their jurisdiction. So we're like outside of city limits, for instance, and we used a map and they said, you're in our park. And so we find out that these spots that they say that we're in, that they have been ticketing people there for years. And so these are sweep spots, we call them, and they're not getting fixed because we can't get our information out to them. We already tried the trials. We already explained to them these are not their properties and so forth, and they aren't listening to us. And so we feel like there is at least a dozen investigations that are fully meritable to be opened up in these so-called sweep spots. We actually did some of our own investigating, pulled up call records from our spots, and talked to dispatch. They've been ticketing people at these same locations for years. Nobody knew their rights until us. my brother and I came along and started. Well, we came from a different background, so I was a wrongful convict 12 years ago. Still find that. So we know our law enough that we've been catching all of these, and we are literally trying to whistleblow all of these crimes, and we're asking for help anywhere, and we're also being defamed, and that's why we're not getting help, is because we are being retaliated against for being whistleblowers. So, public corruption for sure. Oh my gosh, homeless, human trafficking.
How does you say the homeless human trafficking? Kate, who is doing homeless human trafficking?
Okay, thank you for asking. Because it's not usually the right types of words. You think like sexual human trafficking, things like that. These are poverty type human trafficking crimes because the officers involved, and we've got this on tape too, are all pushing for us to get back into the jobs and places. And so they won't listen to our complaint initially that we don't have a job because we were assaulted, or we don't have a place because we can't pay rent because we were assaulted, or I lost my job right before that. So essentially, these people, police officers, have customarily and systematically been writing tickets to poorer demographics to just get rid of them. We've caught them never going through their elements, almost even on purpose, because we can tell them facts now. We can tell them to their face, hey, I have a map. And they're like, nope, we don't have to believe you. And so the human trafficking, it ended up being human trafficking because we couldn't find enough places to sleep in Fort Collins to keep our rights intact. We were essentially told, get a job or get out of town. And then the exact same thing happened in the other jurisdictions.
So these kind of tickets, when you say human trafficking, it's because they have to move from one place to the other. That's what you call human trafficking.
Yes,
and they are given unlawfully tickets for what? Those tickets are for what? For staying on the streets, for staying in different places.
Yeah, they're tickets for people that are needing to sleep because they're poor and they're in their hometown, or they're needing to hold signs for help, like medical help, things like that. And so it became human trafficking.
And these tickets, how much? They give the tickets to the homeless.
Yeah, they either give us the tickets or arrest us. But the reason why it's human trafficking is because we're always required to move from these locations. They physically need to remove us because they think we're unsightly and so forth. When, like I said, we're not even in their jurisdiction. And so the reason why it's always human trafficking that it's landing on is that these people are all doing this with a motivating factor of financialness. They have an image problem that we found, and they have a very hard time keeping a good...
And these individuals, you're talking about a police force? What police department is doing that?
Yes, so we have... Oh boy, we have like 25 police officers or so from Fort Collins we've individually caught. We have a dozen more from Westminster. We have a couple more from North Glen, Broomfield, Federal Heights, and now Denver. And Arvada.
One place that you should go to report this additionally is, and I'm going to tell you, you should pursue this with I don't know if you've done it, with the Office of the Inspector General. Everything that is related to police matters where there is they are wasting or committing fraud, or they are mishandling things or doing things illegally. They also oversee this type of behavior. The Office of Inspector General is very, very good regarding these things. You can also go to the Department of Justice. So the term, human trafficking, as we define it here, it is not the same as you have defined it right now, because human trafficking is when the person is stripped of all their rights completely and cannot go anywhere, cannot move anywhere, and it is completely to the mercy of their captor. So in this case, the person, the people is free to go wherever they want. What I am interested in hearing is, about the tickets that they give to these the homeless. They don't have a means to pay this. What police department are you accusing of doing this?
Well, real quick, when you say that it's not human trafficking because it's not, captors and so forth, that actually is exactly what is happening. Every time that somebody gets a ticket, they are arrested, and they're only given the option to take the ticket, but otherwise they're taken to jail. And so they're taken to jail without any lawful justification to remove them from the street for poverty, image problem reasons, unsightliness. And so, but yeah, Fort Collins Police Department is the main one.
What is the name of the police department?
Fort Collins Police Department.
And what is that located at?
Fort Collins, Colorado.
Colorado.
Yeah, we're in Colorado here.
Okay.
And
Fort
so,
Collins Police Department in Colorado.
Yeah.
And so you are
let me put this.
accusing them of going to the place where the homeless are and then just randomly give the people tickets. How much is every ticket?
It depends. Some of them are just camping tickets. But I'm glad you're asking these questions, because what it is that we've caught is it is a range of any ticket that is used, what they think is most applicable to get rid of them with. And so they use a combination of what are called constructing a structure ticket. That's if they have a tent, or if they're at night, they just use a park curfew ticket, or if they have other gear set up, maybe they just use a camping ticket. And so we've caught them interchangeably using these. Oh, and also no camping in your vehicle, no parking on private property. Basically, they've tried to make it illegal to sleep anywhere but the shelters, which are always full or not accommodating, and just rental housing.
How much is every ticket, would you say?
So,
even though you said that there is how much?
Some tickets themselves are just like $100 fine, maybe some jail time. Other larger tickets are where they have literally framed people, and myself included. I have a case here where they have actually trumped up full lies to get rid of me in a different type of charge. They charged me with a felony. And so it's not a sleeping or camping ticket anymore. A lot of these tickets are larger tickets that they are using to remove people with. They're making stuff up.
Are you, Mr. William? Are you the are you the leader of trying to help these people? Are you a homeless yourself?
Yeah, I was initially just a defendant in some of these cases, but then when I started speaking with other homeless people, we started coordinating their tickets, and we started working together to see how each ticket is written incorrectly. And so we have a huge smorgasbord of stats and data that can compare all of the tickets, and almost all of them are.
You're talking about Fort Collins Police Police Department in Colorado. What other police department are you charging?
Yes, the exact same patterns of behavior of refusing to look at maps or statutes or just do their jobs has been caught in Westminster, North Glen, Arvada, Federal Heights, Broomfield, Lakewood, and Denver.
These are Westminster, all of they are counties?
Yes, these are all city police departments in their respective counties, Adams County and Jefferson County. But it's all the suburbs of Denver. And the Westminster is just outside of Denver.
Okay.
Yep.
And for how long this situation has been going on, Mr. William?
When we first found out how probable cause works and that they didn't have it, this was 2 years ago with a ticket we got where it was we were still living in a house then, so it wasn't even a homeless ticket. It was 2 people in a 5 unrelated house, and there's a 3 unrelated rule out there that you can't live more than 3 to a house in Fort Collins. It's kind of for students. And so we broke that law legitimately, and we only got fined, just my brother and I. So we knew there wasn't any probable cause. That's a big case that took us several months to put together. That's why we got homeless. But basically, we've been cleaning up the homeless tickets ever since for 2 years now. We are coming up on 2 years, and literally over 50 illegal move-alongs that we are just backed up on getting the data out for. We were literally up to our eyeballs. And we can't get the information out fast enough. That's why we're just starting to report things like via phone calls like this.
Okay. Can I have, let's get some information from you. I need to document this. So you said that your first name is William and the last name is Montgomery?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. May I have your date of birth, please?
Sure. July 7th, 1985.
May I have your social, please?
Sure. 521-63-7257.
And your phone number?
970-825-4421.
Okay. And what is your current address, Mr. William?
It's 305 West Magnolia, so Magnolia Street.
Okay.
And that's PMB for private mail box. And it's 221. And that's in Fort Collins, Colorado, 80521.
80521?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. So, is anything else that you want to add to this report, Mr. William? You and your brother, do you have, is this like, let me see, how can I put it, like an organization, or just you guys, you two individuals that are trying to help, with this situation, or you're have it, a group of people, or just you and your brother, or just yourself?
Yeah, that's a great question. The charges themselves that we're trying to collect and bring were all brought against us, and we succeeded in fighting them. So it's still always a personal lawsuit against all these institutions. But because we see that everyone else is going through the same boat, and we're starting to see their stats too, we basically turned into the liaisons for the poor. We don't really even want to be, I guess I don't care. I feel like information's good to have. And so, yeah, we are... unfortunately, political dissidences that are trying to report new information to these people. We're the only ones that figured it out. And so we're whistleblowers, and it is still personally us, but it is it's affecting everybody right now. The tickets that everyone's still getting out there.
Well, let me tell you
so
that
forth.
those words that you're saying, whistleblowers, that is something that I found very, very interesting that you're saying that word, because when I was reading everything about OIG, or Officer of the Inspector General, that particular a word is used when a person feels, that his or her life is threatened, or that they are taking steps against that person, or defamation, or attacking in any way.
Oh, yes.
Possible. So that is a good start for you, because OIG they review and they investigate this type of thing when whistleblowers have been attacked, or somehow they make them pay for what they are.
Yep, we're definitely being retaliated against.
Divulging, and let people know what's going on. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we're definitely being retaliated against, because we've already tried asking for help, like from our own family, and they don't believe us. They actually say that the cops are justified in doing what they're doing. And so, we've basically been silenced. It's just us two, David and I. We live out of a van that is parked down here in Commerce City, Colorado, in a Walmart parking lot. We just have our tablets, and we have hundreds of hours of evidence that we're trying to release to the world. So what do you do? What do you do
every day or every night? This is your purpose. You park your van there in Walmart parking lot in Commerce City, and then what did you do, Mr. Williams?
We have tablets, and we just have a lot of evidence. Basically, during the day, we go out and hold signs. We panhandle passively. We know it's legal. It's been around forever. Little Tim, with his broken leg, used to panhandle back in the day. And so we basically have been panhandling for our basic needs of like food and gas and propane, and it's just prohibitive. It's taking too much of our time in general, and so it's always a battle between just simply getting enough money for our basic needs and getting enough time for our paperwork. And so when we do have enough time, we're just in our vans. We have batteries in our little tablets, and so we're able to just basically we're just trying to put together the master thing for everything. We haven't even gotten to step one. We're literally so behind. We have what are called police reports we're trying to get out. We just have affidavits of our stories. We have charge lists, and we have timelines, and we have just buckets of evidence. And we're just trying to get it out.
Okay. I appreciate it, and I have all the information that I need, Mr. Williams. Thank you so much for calling the FBI, okay? And if I'm going to write a report, okay? I'm going to document your call. And I appreciate you calling us, okay?
Please do. And if there's one thing I can note, if you could put a little note in there for us, this is probably the most important note. It's always going to be hard for people to understand the gravity of the depth of the human trafficking and so forth. And that's why we have all these audios we're trying to get out, is because if everybody just listens to the audio itself before making any judgment calls, that's what we're asking people to do. And so I would hope that you wouldn't close this case out. I hope that you would put something like, we need to hear the audio of these people because, like I said, we believe we have actually caught the entire thing on tape. And I don't think anybody's going to really know what we mean by that unless they actually go through each audio. And we don't have too much. We only have like 30 cases, each one 15 to 30 minutes or something like that. But yeah, the audio is imperative that we get out. We already have a couple of them out on YouTube, but we just need more to get out. So actually, if there's one thing you could really do for me, oh man, we have 3 of them out already onto YouTube because we were trying to ask for help. And so if you search on YouTube for the terms "kidnapped by Fort Collins Police" or "kidnapped by Westminster Police," we have a couple videos up that I think you guys would probably want to see to give you a little bit of insight into the type of poverty hate crimes going on.
Yeah, well, I don't decide, I don't make any decision regarding this. I just, document the call and we look at the guidelines and we'll go from there, okay, Mr. Montgomery? I appreciate your call, okay?
Sure. No worries. Try my best.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.